Yes, what's happening, people? We're back again. It's myself and Lee Judges, and we've got a very special guest. You'll know him very well. You're all probably aware now. 8 o'clock every morning, he's on your screens. It's Mr. Tom Canton. Absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, good, man. It's nice to join you. I feel like I've not spoken to Judges in like 2 years. It's been beautiful. So, yeah.
Do you know what's funny? I said, Tom's coming, and he went, oh, that will be a treat.
Brilliant.
How you doing, Lee? You good?
Yeah, all good, all good, all good, all good.
Good stuff, man. I'm glad. Listen, we are going to talk Arsenal Wolves, of course, because the season is back. But I thought we'd start by talking a little bit of transfers and get your thoughts about what's happening. It looks now it's starting to heat up. Some clubs are now starting to get well involved with what's happening, but it hasn't really been electric of a window. I'm not going to lie. It's been one of the most boring windows I've seen in a long time for all clubs. And at the moment, Arsenal bought in Calafiori and nobody else. Not melting down, not panicking massively, but are we starting to get a bit worried now with only a couple of weeks left with the amount of positions that we potentially need and some of their outgoings? Be good to get some of your feelings. Lee, let's start with you.
No, I'm not panicking or anything like that. But I actually see Chris Hudson put something on social media today, and I do concur with it when he turned around and said, like, the squad's good, strong, but we're relying on players that have got a history of breaking down. I.e. Thomas Partey, Jesus, to name but two. So I get what people will say about that. I'm still saying that we're not, and I'll say it, we're in a position where we don't need to panic. We've got a very, very good team. We don't need to be playing over the odds for players, and we don't have to be taking cut prices for our players as well. We've given away players in the past. I don't think we're in that position at the moment where we need to do that. Let's just keep our powder dry. That's the position that we put ourselves in. I have to say, I can't believe the sort of stuff I'm hearing from, people wanting EDU sacked and all that, like he's useless and all that. Like, well, I do think that he has created, not him personally, but the whole club or whatever, have put a team together where I'm going into the season tomorrow thinking that we can win the league. So I don't see how he can be wanting him sacked or a complete and utter failure. So I get the euphoria around everything, social media. The fact is, I think a lot of people are frustrated because they feel that we've got a very, very good chance of winning the league and don't blow it. And I get that. But to say sack him and get this and do this and everything like that, I'm not in that boat, and I'm certainly not going to be in that boat for a very long while. If you put on it there, I do think Arsenal will still make a couple of signings. I do believe that, but I'm not going to lose my head about it. I'm at the moment, we've still got a very, very good side.
Yeah, listen, I agree with that. We have got a good side. Whether it's good enough to beat Man City or not, we're going to have to find out. Tom, how are you feeling right now, man? I mean, when it comes to transfers and tired, that's probably an understatement with yourself, bruv, because that's pretty much what you do on a day-to-day basis. What can, from what you're hearing, is it good for Arsenal fans to be a little bit on their toes about, oh, this might get a bit nervy for the last couple of weeks, or should we be relaxed and calm and we're going to be okay? What are you feeling, bruv? Oh, you are on mute though, bruv.
Sorry,
Amateur.
I've never done this.
Amateur.
It's my first time. When it comes to like whether it'll be okay, it depends on what people define as okay. Doesn't it? I'm kind of with Lee. Like I'm chill about it. I'm calm about it. I expect us to be active. More active than maybe some people think. I think that obviously the Merino deal will get done. I think that'll be when we get through the door. I think it's a really good signing for us. It adds a quality piece to our midfields and a player that's going to inject some, immediacy into the team rather than a player that needs, that's going to be up and coming and developing. No, this is a player that's in his prime years and going to be adding plenty to the team. So that's good. But it's mainly this question of our forwards. I said at the start of the window, Dan, that a centre midfielder is the priority for me. But that position behind Bukayo Saka, we need depth there. Like we absolutely need somebody who can do a better job there than the players than we've already got. And that's the one I'm kind of a bit worried that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple I'm not sure about. Are we going to get a striker? Question mark. Are we going to get a winger? Question mark. And I suppose after Merino, are we going to get anyone else? You know, because I don't know what's happening with Ramsdale, Nelson, Tierney is injured at the moment. Is Kivior going to Serie A or not? I think it could be a potentially busy couple of weeks, Lee. And I'll come to you on that because I personally do feel like we need a centre forward. I totally understand where Tom's coming from in terms of Saka. I don't think there's anybody that can replace him. I know Ethan Nwaneri and Vieira are the cover for Ødegaard. Is that enough? Question mark. These are all questions that we're being thrown at the moment. And when it is put like that, it sounds like there might be quite a bit to do still, Lee.
Yeah, listen, I agree with Tom. I've always felt we need a midfield player, especially now, as I say, with Thomas Partey. Look, Thomas Partey's going to, I think, has had a good summer. He's played towards the back end of last season, so he's fit. There's no issues there, but it's not that. It's whether he can stay long term. I think Nwaneri coming into the squad will strengthen us. I've been very, very impressed with him. I also think the backup for Saka, it could be someone like we've already got it in Jesus and Martinelli. I think Martinelli played their last game of the season against Everton, so they've got that they can use if they're desperate. I still think Havertz, you know, like I was talking about this earlier on today. If Havertz is Arsenal's player of the year next season, and I mean like player of the year, then Arsenal win the league. That's how it is. If he can hit 20 goals this season, then and play really, really well. But there's a question mark whether he can do that or not, and that's the thing. So I think that if they sell Eddie, we need to improve in that area with a gun, a killer, something different to what we've got. I think Jesus and Havertz are very, very similar, but you need that. If one is going to be out, the other one comes in. So I get that, but I think that when you're struggling, maybe in a game when you just need something different, that's what you need. So listen, I think Jesus has had a very, very good summer, guys, but I don't think if we put out starting lineups for tomorrow, I don't think he's going to get in it. So there's depth in the squad, but I just think that maybe a game changer up front would be the thing. But listen, I think they showed their hand by trying to get in Sesko, wasn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Try to get him in, like, you know what I mean? And that didn't come off. So maybe they're looking at it and thinking, well, if we can't get what we want, we are not going to go for it. That's another fault you could go with. But I'll be very, very surprised if we go in with what we've got. Now, listen, I've listened to what Mikel's had to say today and all that, like, you know, I'll just turn it off. Just turn it off. You know what I mean? He's not going to reveal anything. Like, you know, I watched Angie's one yesterday. Nothing in the pipeline, and they're signing a player today. You know what I mean? You just cannot believe when it comes to transfers and all that. It's just not really interesting because they can't reveal what they want to do and what they want to say. And at the end of the day, if Mikel was to come out, yeah, we've got £150 million, we're going to spend it and all that, like. Then the clubs are going to go, all right, they've got money and all that. So he's not going to reveal nothing. So we're just going to have to wait and see. And I don't know how I just can't wait for tomorrow. But I am in this boat. Get this transfer window done and dusted. Once it's done, you can really just focus on the football. At the moment, there's all these things going on. Even today's press conference, they're talking about signings and this and players and all that. Like, not really mentioning about.
Should be about the football being back, shouldn't it? But it's
not.
It
should be about like the game starts tomorrow, the season. You know what I mean? We're ready for it. Blah blah blah. Really interesting interview today with Eddie Howe talking about it. Like, you know, it's not what football used to be about, but I think it's something, guys, we're going to have to get used to now, and I think it's part of football.
Yeah, it is part of football. And Tom, I'll come to you. I mean, Mark in the comments, to be fair to him, has said that Mikel Arteta touched on what Lee said. Don't want to worry you boys. Arteta's just asked in the pre-match press conference about a striker, and he replied, "We already have great strikers." Doesn't sound like he's going to add. I hear that, but then at the same time, we look like we were going to get Sesko, and I know that we're fans of Alexander Isak, so clearly we're looking in that position to strengthen, Tom, but is someone going to come is the answer and question mark. And I might as well bring it up alongside that. Eddie Nketiah is still here at the moment. There is rumours that Nottingham Forest are the next club now interested. Doesn't look like Bournemouth are going to get him. But listen, £40 million for Rutter, £40 million for Evanilson. We are looking at £27 million that we rejected for Marseille, which we're trying to hold out for more. But I don't know that we're going to get any. Sorry, 27 million euros. So are we going to get anyone that's going to come in for Eddie Nketiah for this 30 to 35 million? Is my question, Tom, alongside the striker question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful, obviously. Obviously, Crystal Palace like that they could come into quite a bit of money between now and the end of the window. They've obviously sold Elise. I have a weird feeling that City might go for Eze between now and the end of the window as well. Obviously, they've had the Oscar Bob injury and they've sold Alvarez. They've not brought anyone in other than Savinho. And Newcastle, I think, have submitted another bid for Guehi around £65 million. So they will have the means to strengthen. I think, Jordan Ayew's being chased by Leicester as well, if not already gone. I'm not sure. I haven't really been across that one, but I heard about that. So I think that they will want to add a forward and they've been interested in him. Obviously, as you said, Forrest are another one. And you're right to bring up Evanilson and Rutter. £23 million for Eddie Nketiah. I know for some people who have never rated him or don't like him or whatever, they're always going to go, just take it. But you can't have your cake and eat it in the sense of criticising Arsenal for being poor sellers in the market and then criticise them for accepting lower than what they value a player at. You can't have it both ways. If we want Arsenal to improve their sales record, we want them to stand firm on valuations of players. And I think that 25 million upwards, which is what I understand the asking price to be, that Marseille bid of 23 million, which included add-ons. We don't really know the structure of that deal in all of its glory at all. So it might look like 23 million on the surface. It may have been very different in reality. But 25 million quid for Nketiah, I think, is a very fair asking price from Arsenal in this market. So we got a really good fee for Smith-Rowe. I think we're looking to get 25. If you consider that 25 plus million quid, that could be 60 million quid you make from Smith-Rowe and Nketiah, which looks really good on your books, especially because they've cost you nothing because they've come through your academy. On the back of Balogun last season.
Sorry, Tom, to interrupt. Do you think 24 million was kind of fair for Nketiah, though? If Smith-Rowe was 27 with add-ons and Eddie was 24 with add-ons, is that not fair? Because I think Smith-Rowe's better than Eddie.
Euros, so 27 million euros total. So it was 23 million pounds with add-ons included. So it's 11 million less than the Smith-Rowe deal was. Considering Smith-Rowe played 500 minutes of Premier League football in 2 seasons and we got 34 million quid for the guy. And Nketiah's, this is a guy that's come on and won games for us at Chelsea and at Manchester United. And, I know he's not getting in the team now because quite rightly we've got better players than him. But
do you value Smith-Rowe? Sorry, do you value Eddie? Getting the names mixed up now. Do you value Eddie Nketiah more than Emil Smith-Rowe? Is that what I'm asking?
No.
Okay.
But I don't think it's like. I don't value him as low as I don't value him as low as what we've been offered for him so far. And I don't think Arsenal should compromise when we want to change the look of the club in terms of selling. Because if you accept less than what we want, we're not changing anything. Nothing's changing, and we need to change that rhetoric of selling.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know where your thoughts are on actually bringing in someone, Tom, as well on that position, because I believe we need one. I know you mentioned Eze.
I don't think striker's not happening. I hate to piss on your bonfire, but anyone that thinks that we're signing a striker, I think you need to get ready for a humbling because I don't think it's going to happen. If we add a forward, it's going to be a wide player. I think that's if we sign a forward player, it'll be a wide player.
Okay, interesting. Lee, what do you make to that?
Well,
sorry, Lee.
No. I get it. You know what I mean? Because people will turn around and say, the top scorers in the league last season, we do that and everything like that. I think it'd be a mistake if they don't do that. But I think with Tom, is what Tom's saying there is, they may go for a wide player. I think we've got enough wide players, though. I really do. I think, Wanyeri can play there. I think that Jesus can play there. I think that, as I said, you've got Martinelli, Saka as well. So I don't know what's happening with Nelson. I think that, listen, if they sell Eddie, they've got to bring in somebody. I think if Eddie don't go, then I don't think we'll sign any striker. I'll go along with Tom on that. But I do think if they do sell Eddie and they sell Nelson, they've got to bolster the
100%.
the firing line. You know what I mean? So it will come down to the sales if they want to sell or not. Like, you know, listen. I think with Mikel, and if I was Mikel as well, I wouldn't be totally. What's the word, like worried about it this moment. I'd be pretty calm about it. Like, you know, we need a striker. People keep going to me, we need a striker. What do we need a striker for? What do we need it for? Is it to challenge for the title? No. Is it to get top 4? No. What is it? Is it to get over City, like to win the title? I think that's where the desperation's coming from, Dan. I think that is the key. Is it? And we need enough to get over the top, and that's what I believe. I do believe if we had that striker, like, which is better than Eddie, but necessarily like not going to play week in, week out. This is the other thing about it, like, you know, I think in the big games, like, and I mean Man City away, Tottenham away, those sort of games coming up. I think if you went and spent, I don't know, 80 million on Coquerez or whoever you want to go and buy, right? I believe, right, say if we sign him tomorrow, 80 million, I believe that when we go to City and we go to Spurs, our number 9 for those 2 games will be Kai Havertz. I do believe that. You know what I mean? So people go, oh, we need a striker and all that. But I do think we need. But are the club prepared to break the bank for a player that I don't think is going to be the number 1 in the big games? That's the only.
Do you think there's any striker on the market, Lee, that starts for Arsenal? Like, realistically, like, me and Dan love Isak. We know that's not going to happen. Like, is there any striker on the market that genuinely, like, 100%, he is way above what we've already got and clearly starts for us?
Only Isaac. That's the only one that I would say would definitely get in because he can play the profile of all of it, but it looks very, very dangerous. But no, I don't think there is. I think, you know, Ivan Toney, does he start, you know, if you bring in Ivan Toney, does he start against Tottenham and does he start against City? Not in my eyes. I think like Kai Havertz starts in those games. I think the thing is with, and this is why I think it's very, very important with Kai Havertz gets off to a good start tomorrow. If you look from January to May, there probably wasn't a better striker in Europe than him. Score of goals, assists, and the way that he contributes to the team. He's got to do it over a whole season.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, you know. But my worry with Kai Havertz is that, and I said it to Dan, I'll say it on this show, I'll say it to you as well. Like, if Kai Havertz was a finisher as well as everything else, like, you know, say he had the goal scoring abilities of a dare I say it, Robin van Persie on top of whatever he's got, then Germany would be champions of the Euros because he had chances to knock Spain out, didn't do it, and he has had chances in games to see us through. This is the weakest part of his game is that little flick that he does, and he goes through. I can't remember what game it was, and then he got the goalkeeper to beat, and he puts it wide. They're the things you need to be able to get. And he might improve on that and do that, like, you know. So, but I do think it's one of the weakest parts of his game. I wouldn't put my balls on a chopping block. Him going through 1-on-1. I'm telling you, you know. I mean, would you? I wouldn't. So that's where I'm saying it like. But I think it's a very, very difficult one, like, you know, to go. And 2 years ago, by the way, before Jesus was injured, I don't think we'd be having a conversation about Havertz because he was doing fantastically well. And you know what? Someone told me this stat. You know, before he got injured, before we went to the World Cup, he was on a 9-game goal drought. Right, but if you remember the last game against Wolves, he created both goals, but he was creating chances and assists. I don't think anybody was turning around and saying we want Jesus out at that stage. 9 games. I certainly weren't thinking that we need a striker. So I over the last 2, I just think there's fine margins between winning the league and not winning the league this season. Fine margins, and that little strike could could be the thing that gets us to it. That's my opinion. Listen, if we don't get anybody, we're not going to be short. But you've also got to look at. I think it is a big thing. You know, I mean, we're looking at a lot more games. I had a good little look at the format for the Champions League this season. Like, you know what I mean? That's going to be how can I say it, like a minefield to get through at times. That is, you know, with the amount of games and how that's going to go through. And like, you're going to have to, you know, beat one of the. I don't think we're in the top group of what I can make out of it. Like, you know, so we're going to have to beat one of those guns, one of the big boys, definitely at home to really secure maybe a top 16 place or whatever, last 16 place. So it's going to be very, very difficult. So I do think we've just left ourselves a little bit short. That's my opinion. But
certainly at the moment, still time. Certainly at the moment, in my opinion, if the window was to shut now, I can't rate it higher than a 3, if I'm honest. It's been abysmal. But I'm sure there's time left to actually allow for us to bring some players in. Tom, that's where I want to come next. What can you tell us on Mikel Merino? I've heard for weeks now that it's close, it's closer, it's really close, it really is closer. And now it looks like it actually is close. What's happening, bro?
Yeah, it's a shame, really, how the kind of whole situation's been covered to some degree, because I think fans have been kind of like hyped up to thinking this was a lot closer than it was. You know, I reported, I think it would have been the week before last, that Saturday. So I'm thinking I won't be able to find the article for you, but within the last 2 weeks, we hadn't yet made an official offer for the player. Like, personal terms have never been a problem in this situation ever. The player wants Arsenal, Arteta wants the player, but like the deal was never as simple as what was being made out, you know, at that time. And I think the date was the 2nd of August, so 2 weeks ago today. At that point, we'd not made an official offer, and that official offer actually wasn't made until this week. And Arsenal's first bid of 25 million euros was knocked back. And there's a growing expectation that this next offer that is being reported to some degree in Spain, there are some claims that bid has already gone in of 35 million euros, which is, you know, around 30 million pounds, is going to get accepted. And that's going to get the deal done. So we don't have to go as high as the 40 million euros that they were looking for initially. And it's going to be agreed on this. That includes add-ons as well, by the way. So the upfront fee will be lower than that. And it will get done. It's frustrating it's taken this long. Arteta's won out in this because, as I say, it wasn't a case of everybody at the club was unanimously behind the idea of signing Merino, because at 28 years of age, he does go against the strategy that Arsenal have been employing in the market over recent seasons. It's very much been an emphasis on not signing older players unless necessary, like we saw in that January window with Jorginho and Trossard. All the other players have been, you know, your 25s and under that we've gone for. So it seems that with Jorginho and Partey, though, you know, with a year left on their contracts, you bring in Merino, who is 28 now, on a 4-5-year deal. He's your experienced figurehead in the midfield for the future as well. And then when Jorginho and Partey move on in a year, you've got that experience still in the squad, along with Declan Rice, who's got, you know, hundreds of Premier League appearances as well. And then, of course, I think next summer again, they'll also go back into the centre field market and potentially look at a better option. Who knows? Maybe a Bruno Guimaraes, you know, somebody on that type of ilk. Maybe next summer. We'll have to wait and see. And I think that he's going to add, obviously, plenty of depth to us. He's going to add quality. I think there's an argument he could even start for us, you know, with Rice moving to the 6th role and Merino and Ødegaard being the two more offensive-minded midfielders as well. I think he also will take some of the pressure off of Ødegaard's attacking contribution and the burden that he carries in every single game. So that's also a benefit. You know, he ranks amongst the top percentiles of central midfielders for touches in the opposition penalty area. We are a team that love getting the ball into the box in terms of crosses. He's fantastic in the air. He ranks as the highest ranked centre midfielder in terms of aerial duels won. So he leans into that style of play that we're starting to play to. And he's very progressive. So all of the traits look good. It's now about how does he transition into this team and how is he going to find it playing back in the Premier League. He has experienced this league, but it was 7 years ago. So it was quite some time ago with Newcastle. And yeah, it's a good deal. So I hope that, you know, that this finally just brings that saga to a close, because it's just frustrating kind of saying this team and maybe Merino. But, because it'd just be nice to get it done.
Yeah, it would. It really would be nice to get it done so that we can hopefully look to see what else we can do within the last couple of weeks. I mean, Lee, before I go towards the Arsenal Wolves game and bring up some questions, I wanted to ask you about this signing because for me, I feel we need a left 8, and I think Merino fits that perfectly. I've kind of said this a few times about replacing Granit Xhaka because it's weird for me to say that, how much I just didn't really rate him for the last few years. But last season we kind of missed that left 8 position, whether it was actually what we missed with Granit Xhaka or not, or whether it was actually just not replacing Granit Xhaka. And I think that for me is probably where we went a bit wrong. Last season, we saw the left 8 played by Fabio Vieira, Trossard, Smith-Rowe, Havertz, and Declan Rice, and the left back position played by so many as well. Calafiori and Merino, whether we like this window or not, that definitely makes sense to me, having those two positions covered, Lee.
Yeah, listen, I think that it's we need to strengthen up that left hand side, doing the charity thing with Mike yesterday. Like Ryan was on, like Ryan Rocastle, made a fantastic point and he turned around and said, "Look, this season we haven't got to worry about we can hit the ground running well. We haven't got to replace Xhaka." And I do you know what? I looked at that and I thought, yeah, that's a great point. There was a little bit of moving around and people trying to slot in here, trying to find who's the right person for it, blah, 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 blah. We haven't got to worry about the integration of the team at this moment in time. There isn't none. It'd be very, very smooth. So I think that's a good point. I think that the left side has got to, I think, got to be sorted out and strengthened and have a sort of stability that the right-hand side's got. The right-hand side is very, very stable, very, very in every way. What's Arsenal's best starting lineup? Rice, you can turn around and go is either centrally or on that left-hand side. But if you look at the right-hand side, you're going to go White, Odegaard, Saka. That's it. You look to the other side, you're going, well, we're going to bring this Mourinho. It could be Rice. It could be, Shinchenko. It could be Calafiori. There's a lot more ifs, buts and maybes on that side. I think that that's a priority now, is that when we look at going into big games next season, and I mean big games, Man City away, Champions League games, and deep in what we're going with it. What's our team? Right side, White, Odegaard, Saka. Left-hand side, Martinelli, Calafiori, Rice, whoever it is. So you know that is it. It's stable on both sides. It's like scales, isn't it? You've got to have them, balanced. And I think that will help us tremendously. It will help out who's ever wide, and it'll help out who's ever playing at the back. Yeah, you can change it a little bit, but at the end of the day, people go, "Oh, Saka don't miss that many games." Well, he don't, because he's part of a team, part of a unit that works. And I think that doesn't help out Martinelli in the long term. So I think that's needed to be done. I don't think we'll get the stability that we have on the right side. There'll always be a few little changes on the left-hand side, mainly because of the way we play. And you've got to have certain changes to a team. Like for instance, I guarantee you tomorrow, if Martinelli, you can have a bet with me if you want, right? If Martinelli signs,
Dan can't afford to lose any more money to me.
No, he can't afford to
lose.
If Martinelli starts tomorrow along with Saka, right, barring injury, right, I bet you Martinelli comes off. And Saka will stay on, you know what I mean? It's the way it is. I don't know whether you agree with it or not. I'm telling you tomorrow. So I'll even go as far as if Trossard starts tomorrow, he won't finish the game. But I put a lot of money on that the likes of Rice will, Saka will, maybe even.
That needs to change though, Lee, for me.
Yes, it does. It does need to change. I agree, but that's how it is.
Yeah,
that's how it is. You know what I mean? And I understand it to a certain degree, but if I was Martinelli, I'd get a little bit peeved off of it at times, because times when he's playing really, really well, when he works hard for the team, we all know that, right, 75 minutes off you come, and then it's maybe 5 minutes from the end or 2 minutes from the end when the game's done. Listen, if Havertz comes off tomorrow, right, then that's a good sign for Arsenal. Arsenal are 3 or 4-0 up, like, you know what I mean? Like that. I get those sort of ones, but you know what I mean when it's there. So I think it's very, very interesting how he manages that left side today. I don't think he's managed it brilliantly. I have to say that, like, you know what I mean? I think that, and it may be that he strolled upon it when Declan Rice went in there. I don't know, but I tend to, or seem to remember that Declan may have had a couple of games in there at the beginning of the campaign, and then he was phased out. I think maybe because Thomas Partey got injured. I don't know, but I think that it'd be interesting to see what he does. Calafiori, by the way, where's he going to play? Oh, that's an interesting one. The left back, we're going to say
maybe left back. Zinni's been really good in pre-season.
Brilliant. He's really been.
But I tell you, I don't want him starting at Villa. So, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like, we look at Zinni in pre-season and think we've dominated Lyon, we've dominated Leverkusen, and he was excellent in those dominant games. But when we've gone to places like Villa, or we've gone to City, or we've gone to Spurs, there are times where we are going to be under the cosh. They are going to attack us, and we need to be resolute defensively. And Zinni, there are question marks about him.
And then
so that's why Calafiori and Timber maybe come into it.
Yeah, but that will cause
Zinchenko starting against Villa will just be a disaster, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but
it will be.
This is the problem, Dan, is that you've got. I get what you're saying on that, but that ain't fair. Then so realistically, like you're playing one player at left back one game and then another. So, like for instance, you're playing. Martinez going to play tomorrow, and he knows exactly what he's going to do and all that. And then the next week he's going to have to change his game slightly because we're going to go with someone else. I'd rather go okay. As much as I love Zinchenko doing all that, I'd rather not have that if that's the case, and say, right, well, I'll play Calafiori there again. Not probably tomorrow because he's not there, but you know what I'm saying, like for every game. So you've got that thing, like you don't sort of turn around to Ben White and go like, oh, well, we've got Tottenham coming up next week. We're not going to play Ben White. It's not the same thing, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't affect the right hand side. But as soon as you're taking a player out there, bringing another player in, it's affecting that left hand side. So my argument is like, no. If you're going to go to the big games defensively, then you've got to have him in the home games as well. But I get it, what we're doing. I think everybody was going to turn around and say, you probably even play, I don't know if you're alluding to it, Tom, but maybe you are, is that Zinchenko play against Wolves, not against Villa, but he'll come back against Brighton in that game. Like, that's what we're thinking, aren't we? I'm thinking the same. But it's in the long term, is that doing that left-sided forward, the world? I don't think it is.
I think Calafiori has to come in as soon as he's fit. Really, I mean, crikey, we've signed him. Why are we playing Zinchenko there still? Like, I know he played well against Lyon and Leverkusen, but they did absolutely nothing to attack us. He didn't need to defend. I saw him defending in pre-season once, and Salah destroyed him. So I just don't want him playing at left back for long term, man. I don't mind him coming in for 1 or 2 games, but I would have sold Zinchenko personally. I just don't think he's good enough defensively. That's my opinion. Look, Tom, I want to move on to Arsenal Wolves, but just quickly, there's a couple of rumours that are circling around some other players that might leave the club. I want to get your thoughts on those quickly. Aaron Ramsdale is obviously one of them. Reece Nelson is another one, and Kivior was linked heavily with Serie A, and now it's just gone quiet. So, what can you tell us about those 3, bruv?
Yeah, Ramsdale, I think will probably go down to the end of the window. Arsenal will have a replacement lined up. It seems to be that Jean Garcia, if indeed he does go. So they're well prepared for that, it seems. I don't know where he'll go at the moment. It seems so difficult to see where he might leave to, but they may end up accepting kind of a loan deal just so he can play regularly and then gain back some value ahead of a permanent exit next summer. That might be the smartest play because he doesn't want to stay and be a number 2 for another season, that's for sure. The Nelson situation is again still quite fluid. I think he's one of those players where, like with Nketiah, the club are very open to him going. Again, it's kind of like with Nelson, it's the same, but if he stays, he stays sort of thing. His value is not as high as Nketiah or Smith-Rowe. You're looking at him about £15 million. I think it would be good to get that amount of money. Leicester were keen. They've had a deal for Hlojek of Leverkusen hijacked by Hoffenheim, so they may come back for Nelson. Maybe Crystal Palace have still got interest there. So again, he's one that we'll have to kind of wait on, but there's nothing concrete on an exit there. And then Kivior, I think, will stay. And to be honest, I think should stay. Like I don't see the necessity to lose Kivior at all.
Same, I'm with you, mate. Yeah.
We talk about depth, like we need depth and we need options. If Gabriel gets injured, I know we've signed Calafiori, but like Calafiori could end up being our left back. If Gabriel gets injured, Kivior will finally get to play left centre half, which is what we actually bought him for. And, you know, as I always use the example of, you know, we had Zinchenko and Tomiyasu fit, but it was Kivior Arteta chose to start at City last season in our most important game of the entire year. So, you know, you don't choose that player if you don't trust them to a degree or rate them to a degree. So I think Kivior should stay. I think he's not necessarily been able to flourish as maybe he, you know, would if he was playing week in, week out for us. And I think he's an asset, you know, and he's fit. Like, you don't have any injury issues. We've not really had any injuries, and having a player without those injury issues is a good thing. So yeah, keep him. I don't see why we should sell, because we're not going to bring in another defender this summer. And if we sell him, it kind of puts pressure on us needing to do that in some ways.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think Nelson potentially will go at some point. Eddie likewise. Ramsdale, I think, will probably go on loan somewhere, hopefully with an obligation to buy. And then I think when it comes to Kivior, I've always said keep him. Like, for me, we're bringing in Calafiori and Timber, and we're keeping Kivior. That's really stacked. Like, for me, we need defenders. We need centre halves at the club, because we've only got Gabriel and Saliba, really. If you get rid of Kivior, Calafiori and Timber can play there, but we believe they're more fullbacks and cover for centre backs. So I think Kivior staying would be fine, personally. Let's move to the weekend's game. Lee, I'll come to you with thoughts on it and team news. I wanted to bring what I believe the team will probably be up, because there's a lot of thoughts on some of the positions, so I thought we could talk through it. This is the team that I think it probably will be. Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Rice, Partey, Odegaard, and then, of course, Saka, Trossard, and Havertz. Rice and Partey are obviously in the wrong place there, as you'll probably spot. But other than that, I think we're pretty much there. What are you saying, Lee, about the team?
I think Martinelli will start. That's the only difference.
Really? Okay.
I think maybe just basically on that last game of the season at the Emirates, that last game, he played him like, and nine times out of 10, you play that the last game, you play the team you're going to start with. So I think maybe Martinelli. But listen, if it's Trossard, I ain't got a problem with it. I really ain't. But I think that if you're going to want Martinelli to have a top season, score loads of goals, I think that you got to back your man, and from the start, you know. So it'd be interesting to see that. I think that's the only spot that's in doubt tomorrow, is that one there.
Tom, what are you saying with that team, that 1 to 11?
Yeah, I think with Lee, he started Martinelli in the last pre-season friendly, and usually that's kind of the big indication of what he tends to go with on the first game. I'd personally start Trossard. I think that Trossard would be the one I'd go with, because I think he was better against Bayer Leverkusen than Martinelli was against Leon.
He was,
I thought Trossard was excellent against Leverkusen. You know, he came on in the game against Leon, but was coming on with all the kids, so it was like it's kind of sharp shot by that point. So, yeah, I think it will be Martinelli at left wing. I hope he really succeeds. I think it's a massive season for Martinelli. Like, I think really he's got a huge campaign ahead of him, and if he can start in this game and hit the ground running, he's going to be an asset for us. But I also think off the bench he can be an asset, because he's got that drive and speed and can test some of the more tired defenders at the end of games as well. So I think him and Trossard, you know, will share minutes there. But other than that, I don't really see where else. I think if we'd have got Merino in maybe 2 weeks ago, you might be seeing him in that lineup instead of Partey, with Rice then moving to 6 and Merino playing forward. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. I wanted to ask you both, and I'll ask you both this, like, our bench, Deji, I don't know if you saw on my channel when me were clashing, because he was saying that Tottenham's got a better squad than Arsenal and the bench is stronger, and it actually was quite funny. But obviously we were talking about it. But it made me think about Arsenal's bench, not because I actually agree with him and think that Spurs is better, because obviously, of course, I don't. But it did make me think that we're still quite weak in certain areas there. We're going to have Nelson and Eddie to fling on. No more Smith-Rowe coming on. Trossard and Jesus will definitely be 2 from the bench that aren't in this 1 to 11. But Fabi Vieira, who currently is injured, apparently. Timber and Calafiori. Tomiyasu still not fit enough. I don't know, to start anyway. The bench is going to be weak again, Tom, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Leon bench that we had. We had Jesus on the bench. We had Kivior on the bench. Trossard on the bench. Jorginho on the bench. That's pretty strong. Calafiori on the bench. I hope that we see Nwaneri getting on the bench in Premier League games, and all of a sudden he's going to start, getting minutes and opportunities. And if he starts, impressing in these Premier League games, then he's an option to come off the bench, as is Miles Lewis-Skelly, who I'm excited about as well. So, I mean, Tottenham's bench against Bayern in their last game, they started Jed Spence at left back. So I imagine Adoji will be their main left back still. But they've got Skip, Gray, Bergval, Werner, Romero. I think Romero will probably start. So Dragushin, Bentancur. I'm struggling, Dan, with that view. I'm struggling.
Listen, this is coming from Deadshee, bless him. So he does like to big up Spurs. But my point wasn't about Tottenham. To be fair, that was just ridiculous for him to say that. But I will say, I am struggling to see massive impact players. However, maybe you've got Jesus and who's the other one? And Trossard that could be massively impactful. So, my question was, I suppose Reece and Nelson and Eddie being replaced, if they were to go, I kind of think it's justified a bigger need for somebody to come in the attack as well. Because if we're going to be selling Nelson, Eddie and Smith-Rowe and just having Wanyeri and no one else, I kind of feel we're left short, Tom. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. As I said, and I will continue to say, if Eddie Nketiah leaves and Nelson leaves and Smith-Rowe's gone and we don't bring in a forwards, I think you completely are justified in saying that the window's failed, like that we failed to add the forward we needed to add. And, I don't like saying that. I want my team to succeed in all aspects. So it's frustrating. And I think you can, to a degree, understand why they may not want to go for a forward if they don't see the obvious candidate out there. And, Dan, we've had many chats about trying to come up with, who we would go for. And we always end up kind of saying, well, are they good enough? Because we have this conversation, because it's really hard to look at a team that are challenging for a title and think, are they good enough to improve a title challenging side now like Arsenal? And if you sign that player, and the player that genuinely is good enough to improve Arsenal comes up, say, in 6 months or a year, and you can't go for them because you filled that spot with a player that you took a gamble on because you felt like you needed to bring in the depth, then I'm going to be looking at that and going, oh, crap, we really should have, we shouldn't have blown early and gone for that player. And, I think that I say to you, I'd be cheeky with Bayern and say, would you take 40 mil for Leroy Sané? Because I give you 40 mil for Leroy Sané. I think that adds really good competition and quality to a team chasing the same goals that Bayern Munich are chasing. So, yeah, I think there are some players out there, but I just don't know if Arsenal are convinced by them or not.
Yeah, I mean, Leroy Sané for me would be a great signing. A lot of people don't think that would. I don't quite know why, but I think he'd be great. Eze is a player that I really like. Say again, bro.
So what about Madueke?
Oh, Madueke, yeah, I saw that. Oh my God, that was yesterday.
You got fooled yesterday.
£60 million they want for Madueke. I mean, what's happening there? I saw that and thought, is that real or is that a load of waffle? So look, there's links with Sané. They're linked the other day with Coman, Kingsley Coman. There was links the other day with Eze. That's gone quiet. Pedro Neto, who I did actually want, has gone to Chelsea. Eze, I just don't see that happening. I would like him because I think he covers Saka and Odegaard's position, but I just don't see that one happening. If I'm honest, we kind of sat there going, who are we going to get then, because Victor Gyökeres has gone quiet. Victor Osimhen is probably Chelsea bound, if at all. I don't know where we're going here. Ivan Toney doesn't seem mentioned at all, and not many people seem to want him. So it's kind of really difficult, to be honest. But we'll have to see how this window plays out. But Lee, sticking with tomorrow, what are you expecting, bruv? Premier League is back. Sunny will be shining as well, Lee. So
Sun will be shining. I expect Arsenal to make a statement tomorrow. I really do. I think come out sharp and listen. We was on a fantastic roll at the end of last season. I ended in disappointment, but it was one hell of a run. You know what I mean? So just maintain that, and I think that I don't want to see The one thing I don't want to see is no stupidness from the midfield, from a home game. I want it to be a nice, comfortable home win when everybody go, wow, that's proper. I don't want us to be hanging on, making mistakes and just go bang, bang, bang. Be a bit ruthless in tomorrow's performance. Set it up a nice foundation for a difficult, very, very difficult game next week. But can I dare say it, like, make everybody aware that we're still good. Make everybody aware of it.
Yeah, 100%. I personally do think we're gonna win. I've gone for a comfortable win as well. Wolves losing Pedro Neto, that'll be very interesting to see how they replace him. Wolves are a team that do normally, I'm going to say it, but it's probably going to jinx it. They do normally struggle to score goals, but they can score goals. I'll say that, so I don't jinx myself. And Gary O'Neill is obviously a manager I actually do rate and think that could cause problems. A lot of people I speak to, though, Tom, have Wolves down in the relegation battle this season.
Well, they've lost their two best players now. So
yeah, what are we saying?
Yeah, I mean, two of their best. Joel Gomez, I rate a lot as well. And
Kilman as well. Kilman's a really good player.
Kilman's gone. So yeah, I like what Lee's saying. I think, you know, I'd like to see a 4-0 win. I really would. You know, these aren't results. What are you laughing at?
I predicted 4-0. That's why that's what I want as well. I know that's.
I feel like 3-0 is not good enough. Like, I know it sounds really like arrogant, but that's
yes, but that's what I'm with you on it. I'm with you on it.
But that's where we're at. Like, we need to act like a team that are putting these teams that we should beat, where the game shouldn't be close against Wolves at home, with all respect to Wolves, but we should be winning these games and, as you say, setting out our stall. It's also worth pointing out that City play Chelsea tomorrow, which is, if at any point in the season it wasn't the opening day, we'd be like, oh, City are going to Chelsea this week. Like, maybe we can drop some points. Not only that, Rodri's not fit. He's not playing in tomorrow's game. Phil Foden, Stones, Pep said they've had like a few sessions, so I think they'll still play. But like, if this, you know, there's the potential that Chelsea could cause a bit of an upset, and I know they lost to them in pre-season, and I know Chelsea are Chelsea, but you know, you need to make sure that you're doing the business. So absolutely batter Wolves tomorrow, and of course we've got this really difficult start with Villa, Spurs, and City. I don't look at it necessarily in the way of like, oh, it's a really tough start. I look at it and go, this is an opportunity to start the season perfectly and show to everyone that Arsenal really do mean business this third time around as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Well, listen, before we come to some final predictions, we have, of course, got something which is back, Lee. Something which we've missed, to be fair, but this is back to discuss.
The old football prizes is back, you know what I mean? And it's back with a bang. Martin Odegaard, like the one that I tried to get on last year was the private jet thing. I had a dream about having a private jet, being an owner of a private jet yesterday. Like, I don't know why that come about, like, you know, but maybe because these were coming up again. Like, I want some of that, like, private jet. You know what I mean? Your own, you know, own terminal as you go in. Oh, I love that. So I tried to get on that one, but never did in Germany. So hopefully they'll do that one again. But they've got Martin Odegaard now. Listen, signed, customed, LED framed Arsenal shirt with built-in. Yes, I'm going to say it again. Built-in TV. So it's not just an ordinary shirt, and you can win this for $3.95. Now, also, there's some other additional signed memorabilia that you can win. Nicholas Anelka, Dennis Bergkamp, and Gabriel Martinelli. There are 16 instant prizes to win in this competition. So get yourself on it for $3.95. And you know, like I've got my one of Charlie Nicholas up there, but it ain't got a TV in it. You know, so there you go. So, but,
there we go, people.
There you go.
Make sure you get in for that one, people. Football prizes.
And listen, another thing, just before, if you ever do win one, let us know so we can boast that we've got a winner on it.
I've had loads, Lee.
Have you really? You had loads of winners. So, like, come on. I want to beat Canton now. I want to see us starting to get a few winners on this night. You know what I mean? So.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's got to be done. Got to be done. Make sure you go over to Football Prizes and support them and sort yourself out with some Arsenal memorabilia. Right, let's go to some predictions before we do close. Tom, let's start with you, actually. What are you going for? You did kind of hint earlier that you thought it might be a high-scoring game. What are you saying, bruv, tomorrow?
Yeah, 4-0. I'll go with it. Will it manifest it into existence? And we'll go with Kai Havertz getting a hat trick just to really rub it into the face.
Oh, what's going on there? It's exactly the same thing.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
4-0 Havertz hat trick.
That is what I want. That is the perfect day for me.
Tomorrow. It is, absolutely. He starts the season like that. You are buzzing. And, you know, Martin Odegaard to get the other.
Wow. Lee?
Direct from a free kick as well, actually, just because I need that to stop. You know, the whole do we need to sign a free kick specialist? Because who does that? What club goes, oh yeah, we need to sign a player just so they can take direct free kicks? You know, so I wanted to score direct from a free kick, please.
I'm going. The only thing that fears me from a 4-0. I don't know if you'd think that is that they might put their foot off the gas because it's a hot day and conserve a bit of energy, not quite at it, so they could get off to a good flying start and then it could just fade a little bit. But I'm hoping that the players that come on tomorrow keep up the intensity and we go again. You know what I mean? Like when players start to flag. So I'm going 4-0. I've got said it Havertz hat-trick, but I'm going Martinelli for the other goal. I want them to be banging the goals in, you know what I mean? I love Odegaard. I know what we're saying, Tom's saying with that one there, but for me, I think it's more I like to see Odegaard with a couple of assists instead of a goal. You know what I mean? 2 assists, Odegaard, hat-trick for either Martinelli or Havertz. But I feel it's got to be, if we can get Havertz scoring loads of goals this season, Arsenal will win the league.
Interesting. I'm going to go 3-0 Arsenal because I do feel it'll be a comfortable victory, and I think that's what we got. We've got one of our best squads there. Probably our left-back situation is the only thing that's weak in the team right now, or weaker in the team than Calafiori, who could surprise and start, but I do expect it to be Zinchenko. And I just think, like Tom said, Wolves have lost Kilman and Pedro Neto, two probably are their better players, and I think we can hit them. I think we can hurt them. So that's what I'm going with. A sunny day at the Emirates and a successful day at the Emirates. That's what I'm hoping for. 3-0.
And also, just to go on to that, minute silence for Kevin tomorrow at the game. They're doing some stuff for Kevin. So get in here early and listen. If his name's being sung out tomorrow around the Emirates, there will be a definite tear. I will not be out. The eyes will not be dry if that happens tomorrow. So please, if you are going to the game tomorrow, respect the minute silence, and then let's have the Super Kevin song going around the Emirates. That will be the icing on the cake to the 4-0 win.
100%, man. Absolutely. That's a good way to end the stream, I think. And it's great that the club are doing that as well. I was really hoping that they were going to be fair. So let's hope that does happen.
Just on another quick thing, one of my Everton mates who I've known for a while, Paddy, turned around to me today, but between 12 and 2 tomorrow at the Winslow, that if you turn up in a dicky bow tie, you will get a free pint.
Wow.
How brilliant is that?
That is outstanding. Yeah.
So if you are going to the Everton game, you're an Everton fan, I don't know if you listen, if you go into the Winslow tomorrow with a dicky bow tie on, you will get a free pint served to you. There you go, you know what I mean? So
that's incredible.
That's an incredible thing that is, Arsenal doing some good stuff for Kevin as well, and I heard that a couple of days ago. That's what they're doing, and apparently they are doing it. It's the Winslow is incredible out as well. So fantastic, So so if you are going to the Everton game tomorrow, get your dicky bow on and you get a free pint. I think Julian's gone up there. I think he's up there. He ain't going to the Everton.
He wants a free point, that's for sure. Now, what a great gesture! That is fantastic, and hopefully that does come to fruition, and a few people go up there and take advantage of that for sure. Great to see that we're doing something as well as a club. So I knew we would. We're always classy when it comes to stuff like that for Arsenal. So that is great to hear. Tom, thank you so much for coming on, mate. How can people follow you, bruv?
No problem at all. I'll be on at 5 o'clock today for a preview of the Wolves game as well on TGT. It's good to have previews back. I really do enjoy doing it. We get our members on from the Discord server to do them with us, so they're good fun. And other than that, 8 a.m. every morning, the Gooner Talk and written work over at Football London.
Brilliant stuff, man. Make sure you go over to the Gooner Talk TV and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be on later. I'll be on this evening, 8 p.m. with all of the guys for weekend preview. Lee, I will let you see us out, mate.
It's back. The Premier League is back. Don't forget, we're cheering Smith-Rowe on tonight for Fulham. Got a little soft spot for Fulham, especially when they're playing Man United. But don't forget, if you're bored, put some sunscreen on tomorrow. It's going to be a hot one, you know what I mean? And let's not be wearing sunglasses at football. Have a good day.